Hey guys, this is Harry. Today I'm going to talk about some of the ETFs, especially Canadian ETFs, which can mimic or replicate performance of Nasdaq Composite Index. For those who don't know, Nasdaq Composite Index is made of major technology companies in US. Uh, I don't know the exact number of companies which this fund has, but all the major technological companies are in this fund. If you look at the performance, let's say from last year, it's doing pretty great. If you look at 5 years, at the maximum, it's been just going exponentially. So it's an equity, we call it equity fund, and basically these are for people who are willing to take a lot of risk, but uh, they also get significant gain at the same time. So without going into a lot of details, let's talk about some of the funds, some of the ETFs especially, which can uh, which are a competitor to each other and which are tracking Nasdaq Composite Index. I'm going to talk about my thoughts. So mainly, I'm going to talk about five ETFs here, basically, which are the ones which are competing with each other, and they all have their advantages and disadvantages compared to this fund. First of all, I would say all of them are doing the same job. So especially the five funds I'm talking about is TEC, ZQQ, HXQQ, QQC, HXQ. So let's go into details one by one. First of all, I'll start with TEC. This is a part of TD. Basically, they it's a fairly new ETF. It's called TD Global Technology Leaders. Its inception is in 2019. 2019. Very healthy volume. Look at a few facts. It has expense ratio of 0.35%, which is slightly higher than few others. I think the lowest one which I will cover is QQ, QQC, and then HXQ. They have 0.25. Yield is also very similar to all others. This has 0.31 percent yield distribution for dividends. They give it every quarter, so you don't have to wait for the year end to get distributions. This is slightly different than Nasdaq. This is a different product than the other ETFs, which I will talk about. The reason I like this one is because this has, if you go into holdings, uh, it's slightly different. If you look at if you look at the fund summary here, they're saying it's replicating performance of global equity index and also this selective global technological. Basically, this fund is slightly different than Nasdaq 100, but the beauty of this fund is they have more weight on technological top 20 or so technological companies, which I think are going to change the market. So they have more weight than the Nasdaq fund has. So because of that, the performance of this fund will be slightly higher than the performance of Nasdaq 100 fund. Okay, the second fund is ZQQ. Uh, this is a very good competitor of XQQ. XQQ is in the market for long, but this fund is developed by BMO. Very good net assets, very healthy volume, uh, one of the highest yield fund. The dividends are coming later in December, ex-dividend date. So those who are interested, yes, they should buy it soon, so they can take advantage of yearly dividends, and then they can sell it in January if required. So also, it's pretty much tracking the same Nasdaq 100 performance. The difference in this fund is this is hedged to Canadian dollar. So basically, as Canadian dollar changes, there are some stocks which are non-Canadian in this fund. So there will be this conversion done to Canadian on those stocks, and then there will be fees for those conversions. So overall, the performance of this fund will be slightly lower than some other funds like HXQ or TEC. but this is a pretty stable fund. We're just talking about few 1 or 2% different overall. I will show you at the end. XQQ, this is one of the basically longest staying fund in Canadian history. Basically, I'm just talking about ETF hedge fund. Basically, this is also Canadian hedge, and it has also very similar to ZQQ. This also has expense ratio of 0.35. Yield is a bit lower. This also has quarterly yield. But when you compare charts, I'll show you at the end. XQQ and ZQQ are very similar. They're like right beside each other in terms of performance. Also, um, market capital is very similar. Volume is very similar. This is a straight competitor of ZQQ. So this is also a good fund to have. The other one is QQC-F. If you look at holdings, it's right away replicating QQQ, and QQQ is American symbol of this. And to be honest, I think this is one of my favorite funds. This should be at the top, less expense ratio than any other funds which I've shown so far. Higher dividend yields. Also, this is giving quarterly dividends. The only part that I don't like about this fund is the volume. Volume is a bit low, but also if you're looking for long term, you shouldn't be worried about volume too much. So this is probably one of the top picks which I have. The other competitor is HXQ. This is Horizons. The thing which are good are less expense ratio. The thing that are bad is there's no dividends. They invest all the dividend in the fund, so you will see long term the performance is better than other funds. Also, I don't like net assets, which is lower than other funds, and then volume is also a bit low. So overall, this is not one of my favorite funds, but still is doing the same job. Also, this fund, which I have noticed based on Canadian US currency ups and downs, this fund gets affected a lot. So if Canadian currency is higher, this fund will perform worse. If Canadian currency is lower than US, then this fund will perform better. And at the end, basically, I will show you a comparison. So this is the chart comparing uh, for the entire year. I have highlighted all funds here. Nasdaq index is in the black. And when you see yearly, as of today, from last 1 year, you can see uh, the green, which is TEC, and the red, which is HXQ. These two funds are outperforming all the other funds. The reason for HXQ to outperform, like I said before, there's no dividend. They invest all the dividend in the fund and a lower management expense ratio. But I still don't like the low volume. So although it's still performing good, I would still prefer TEC above that. Now TEC is a different beast, but because it's mainly uh, all the technology companies, they are in different weights invested in this fund. But still, even with higher expense ratio, this fund is doing pretty good. And also, look at the cost; it's around $23 at this time. So this has huge potential, and also people who cannot put a lot of money. Other funds are like above $90, all of around 90 or so dollars, all the other funds. So people who cannot afford to pay too much, they can invest in TEC, and there's a lot of potential for this fund to be double in next year. Uh, uh, Also, you can see ZQQ and XQQ. You can see in blue and purple lines, they're all together. They're very similar. They're right beside each other. So this is a pretty I would say performance is pretty stable, pretty similar throughout the year. They're right next to each other. Still better than Nasdaq index. So in the long run, both ZQQ and XQQ, they have a lot of market capital, healthy volume. People who are day traders, they can use one of these funds to kind of invest and get out if required. Also QQC.F, which is yellowish here, that's also doing pretty good here. You can see here it's going very similar to actually ZQQ and XQQ. At the end, my favorites, guys, out of these five funds are TEC and QQC-F.TO. Now it's up to you which one you like. Uh, if I the only thing I don't like about QQC is the volume. But if you are a long-term investor, you should not worry about volume too much. The good thing about QQC is I've been monitoring this fund for a month. Uh, the percentage gain or loss in Nasdaq 100, the amount of percent goes up and down. QQC exactly reflects the same percentage. Other funds, they are not doing the same thing. So guys, in summary, my favorites are TEC, QQC, but I would, if I have to choose only one out of these all, I will go with TEC. This is it, guys. Do your homework, look at everything before you make a decision, and all the best.